because of the large amount of bedrock. It's very expensive to be able to provide the sewer and water. There's a lot of blasting done. There's a lot of work that's required. It can be quite expensive, Mr. Speaker. And I guess I just wanted to put on the record that I'm glad to see that there are some changes being made in the legislation. I don't think it will impact in any way the cost that's being imposed on these people for having to provide this service, but if this makes it easier for people to be able to defer the costs of providing the service through their tax bills, Mr. Speaker, then I'm for it as a means of ensuring that people won't have to pay up front for these services. We'll have the opportunity, if the Water Commission can get the money borrowed, and then have it paid back over time through the people who are receiving the service. And I just want to say as well that the Halifax Regional Water Commission has provided those services in my area. I hope they continue to provide extended service. There are people in my area that actually have what is called a small water system that is operated by the Halifax Regional Water Commission. I know they're in other areas as well. The water quality hasn't been very good in those areas. These are people who come from working class areas. They're trailer parks, Mr. Speaker. There are others, and these are people that aren't able to afford the cost of bringing in the water and sewer service that would be required to ensure that they have a decent quality level. Potable water, Mr. Speaker, is something that I think everyone should have the right to. The system, the small system being run in the Spruce Drive area, Silver Sands Trailer Park, is not working very well. That came up in a hearing last year, Mr. Speaker, with the UARB. I'm glad to see that this legislation might help ensure that sooner rather than later, the Halifax Regional Water Commission will be able to ensure that the service will be delivered to the people in that area and those between the Buffalo Club in Cow Bay and Silver Sands Trailer Park who also require services as well. And I hope that this legislation will help. We'll be glad to see it move to law amendments, and hopefully in the long run will help ensure that services can be provided to those people who need it in the metro area. Thank you.
Recognize the Honourable Government House Leader close debate on Bill number 82. Sorry, the Honourable Member for Waverley Fall River Beaver Bank, close debate on Bill number 82.
Yes, I just move the debate be closed.
Motion is for second reading of Bill number 82. Is the House ready for the question? All those in favour say aye. Counterminded nay. Motion is carried.
Bill 82, entitled an Act to amend Chapter 55 of the Acts of 1963, the Halifax Regional Water Commission Act.
This bill referred to the Committee on Private Local Bills. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, would you please call the order of business? We're already in private and local bills, second reading, I believe, are we not?
Yes. Private local bills, second reading.
Okay. We wish to go now, Mr. Speaker, to private members' public bills for second reading. And, Mr. Speaker, we'll call bill number, it's 84, is it? Bill number 84.
Do you have a consent of the House to go to
No, that's normal order of business.
is it on the order paper?
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, I confused you. We're already in second reading, and I'm asking to go to private members' public bills for second reading.
Private member bills for second reading.
Yes, private members' public bills.
That 84 is on the order paper, is it?
The consent of the House, exactly. Because it's not on the order paper.
That's right. That's what I was asking for.
My apologies.
You have the consent of the House. Is it agreed?
Do we
agreed? Good. Bill number 84. The Honourable Member Cole Harbour Eastern Passage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm glad to have an opportunity to speak and to move second reading of Bill number 84. This is a small change to the Motor Vehicle Act, and I just want to say for the record, when I have talked to members of this House about introducing this change to the Motor Vehicle Act, many said to me, can't we already do this? So I wanted to put on the record that this is a change that will allow, and it will only impact maybe a couple of dozen intersections in all of Nova Scotia. But Mr. Speaker, it would allow for someone who is on a one-way street and arrives at a stop sign or a red light on another one-way street, allows them to turn left if that is permissible. And basically, in short term, it is allowing a left turn on a red light or a stop sign at a one-way street onto another one-way street, Mr. Speaker. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that this is something that was brought up to me by people in my constituency and other parts of Nova Scotia. For the record, 6 provinces in Canada currently allow this kind of left turn on a red light or a stop sign. And I believe they are British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and New Brunswick. So we would become the 7th province if this legislation was allowed. I also understand, my statistics may be a little out of date, but I think 43 states in the United States out of 50 states allow this as well. And as I say, many people said to me, don't we already do this? We don't in this province. It is currently illegal to turn left from one one-way street to another one-way street. I like to call it the Sackville and Hollis amendment to the Motor Vehicle Act, because for those of us in the legislature who happen to commute in downtown Halifax, if you travel down Hollis Street and stop at Sackville on your way back over to Water Street, right now you are stopped at that light and are unable to turn left. And this law would allow for there, and maybe, as I say, maybe at the most, 24 locations in Nova Scotia where you'd be able to do this. And again, if the government in certain circumstances wants to prohibit it, like they do with turning right on a red light, Mr. Speaker, a sign can be allowed, and in this case, this legislation would say where a sign prohibits it, you wouldn't be allowed to turn left. It's a simple little change to the Motor Vehicle Act, one that I think will make a little bit of difference in people's lives, and I'm glad to see it being brought forward for debate, and I so move it for second reading, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the honourable member for Richmond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I just wanted to raise a couple of points on Bill 84. And one of our concerns, naturally, is motoring public. Anytime there are changes like this, Motor Vehicle Act, is that certainly safety is the #1 issue that's taken into consideration. And I would hope that the Minister of Transportation, responsible for this department, would be able to consult with his staff as to what the implications of this are. Now, when you look at this quickly and you just speak about going from one-way street onto another one-way street, making a left-hand turn, it does sound like something that we should be doing already. But let me raise with you the concern that if you have a one-way street that is 2 lanes, and you're turning onto another one-way street, making a left-hand turn, technically, when you're in that left lane to make the turn, you have a vehicle that is right next to you that is, in essence, blocking your view of any oncoming traffic from that one-way street. So that's why I just asked the question if his department has looked at that, as to whether it would be restricted simply to one-way streets that are just 1 lane, not 2 lane, or if it would also be allowed for one-way streets which have more than 1 lane on them. So I just raised that as a concern. This bill is one of those which is, while there may have been some discussion, it is appearing here today for the first time, and there doesn't appear to be any sort of backup from the Department of Transportation or any sort of reports which we could see as legislators as to why it would be a good measure to do so. So I simply leave it to the minister to maybe indicate to us. It seems he's made some gestures while I was raising that concern as to how they intend to address that, if this will only apply to specific intersections, or how they intend to address the concern which I have just raised, which clearly, looking at it quickly, would provide a blind spot in a sense and not allow you to see oncoming traffic. So I leave it to, I hope the minister will make some comments in that regard, so that we are sure that this is being, what is being proposed here is supported by his department, and that they have reviewed it and have given their endorsement of any concerns such as those I've just raised. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. I recognize the Honourable Minister of Transportation, Public Works.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, this is a very interesting bill because, as the honourable member from Richmond, I think, has just pointed out, that it's not one that is clearly understood by the public, and in fact, in jurisdictions where they have introduced legislation to permit a left turn from a one-way street onto a one-way street, they've had some difficulty educating the public, the motoring public, as to exactly what it entails. First of all, Mr. Speaker, in response to his specific question with regard to a 2-lane street and the traffic that's on the right-hand side of that 2-lane street would not be permitted to make a left turn. You must be on the inside lane, in other words, the left lane, to make a turn onto another one-way street. That's number one. But secondly, Mr. Speaker, also I should point out that I've spoken to the proponent of this bill, and it's been agreed that we'll move this bill through to law amendments, and we'll leave the bill there for the summer, because we have to, first of all, make certain changes with regard to street signs. And we have some preparation as well for education of the public. But, Mr. Speaker, it does move traffic more rapidly than it will move traffic more rapidly than heretofore, and that has been proven in those particular cities. And I don't know of any jurisdictions other than cities at the present time that have the signage and the permission to do so. I know the city of Montreal now, you can make left turns on a yeah. That's right. Now you can do both, left and right. Yeah. And there's also a couple of other jurisdictions also where you can do so, Mr. Speaker, and certainly in most American states now, in the cities, you can turn left on a red light from a one-way street to a one-way street if you're in the left-hand lane. So I hope I haven't confused it further than what was already apparent when I started. But however, as I say, I think it's good legislation, and certainly in normal times it would certainly help in this corner just over here where you turn from Prince onto Hollis. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I recognize all member for Cole Harbour Richmond Passage to close debate on Bill number 84.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the member from Richmond and the Minister of Transportation for their interventions on this bill. I think the points were taken, and again, as the Minister noted, this bill will not be passing this House in this session. It's an attempt to pass second reading, put it in law amendments for the summer, have an opportunity for members of the House and members of the community maybe to come forward with any ideas. I also do know, Mr. Speaker, that raising the member from Richmond's concern, I just want to say that right now you can turn right on a red light on a regular two-way street, and if it's 2 or 3 or 4 lanes, obviously there is other traffic to your left that you have to veer past in order to see what traffic is coming. So again, where there are safety issues, Mr. Speaker, signage will be put in place like we have now for right turns on a red light, and I'm sure that we can trust the traffic authorities, whether they be HRM, CBRM, or Department of Transportation, to make sure that safety will always be the paramount concern, but where it is safe to do so, and as the Minister said, it will increase the flow of traffic. I think it's a good piece of legislation, and I so move it for second reading.
Motion is for second reading of Bill number 84. Is the House ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion is carried.
Bill 84, entitled An Act to Amend Chapter 293 of the Revised Statutes 1989, the Motor Vehicle Act.
Will this bill be referred to the Committee on Law Amendments? The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to just have to ask the clerk if there's anything on the order paper at the present time respecting bills for private or local or public bills for second reading or committee of the whole House. I believe there is nothing. Yes. Yes. Okay. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do now rise, and I call upon the House Leader for the Liberal Party to tell us the business in the House for the morrow.
The Honourable Member for Cape Breton South on tomorrow's hours and order of business.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Tomorrow the House will sit from 2 p.m. until 6 p.m. and following the daily routine and question period, we'll be calling Bill number 53 and Bill number 76. I move that this House do now adjourn, Mr. Speaker.
Motion is the House adjourned to 2 p.m. tomorrow. Is it agreed? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion is carried. The House adjourned to 2 p.m. tomorrow.